Can you smell that? Finally, the people are listening to Bios3. It took a long time for someone like Bios3 to come out to tell the truth, to talk to people and tell them the way it is. And people don't like that. They get all butthurt. Their panties get all in a bunch. Oh well, somebody had to come along and do it. And Bios3 is the guy that did. So why am I here today? Let's just go through a little email that we got a couple days ago. It says, Bios3, I just wanted to take the time to let you know thank you for putting all the videos and real information out that nobody else wants to do. You do it for free, and I know it takes time and effort, so this is just a quick thank you. Also, 3 times I have asked a question on the comment section and sent an email before this one, and you responded to all of them. Thank you, and if nothing else, realize you are the YouTube People's Champion, and always will be. Thank you, Thomas. Well, thank you very much, Thomas. What we like to do is come out here on Bios3, and we like to whoop some ass. We like to get it done. We like to put out the truth, and we don't hold back. So if you want the real deal, all the time, unfiltered and raw, Bios3 is where it's at. Take it away, Bios3, if you smell what Bios3 is cooking. What's up, everybody? Welcome to me. What can I say after an intro like that? I mean, are you kidding me? Anyways, let's get to this right away now. The truth. Now, I ruffled a little feathers as usual, talking about science and bro science and the arguments. And Bios3 is about opening people's eyes and telling the truth and not bullshitting. And what's interesting is when this first started on this channel, and I would have those science wingnut, and they were almost like cult members, come after me, I would just take a beating. And now people are starting to fight back because they realize, you know what? You guys are full of shit. You guys all look like shit. You fucking suck. So what am I going to listen to you for when you're not producing any results? Period. Now, 2012 Olympia, you guys had your shot. You guys had your science guy. You guys had your big-time guy who was going to do all the science stuff and win the 2012 Mr. Olympia. Ben Pekulski. Yeah, we're not going to talk about Ben today, per se, like as a competitor. We're going to talk about Ben today as a science-driven competitor. All right? Any of you guys who saw the Generation Iron movie watched Ben do all the scientific stuff. He was like fucking Ivan Drago, all right, from Rocky IV. They had all kinds of lab stuff with him. He trained in a lab. And the people that were training him were those little fucking pencil neck geeks. The guys like that twerp with the glasses who always comes after me to claim to have the way. They had him in there fucking doing like a VO2 max for during his cardio. When he was fucking curling, they had fucking MRIs hooked up to him so they could see how much the muscle was activating and which angle was the best. And they were fucking taking blood work and doing, and he followed fucking, but he didn't follow the if it fits your macros. Motherfucker had to follow some shit to make sure that he got in shape. Showed up to Olympia and got fucking spanked. After talking so much shit about how, well, I'm going to fucking take this guy out, take that guy out. He still hasn't produced a physique that in an Olympia lineup would kick ass. But he talks like he does. But you guys had your shot. You had it. There was your guy. If he could have gone in and fucking won the Olympia and beat the shit out of everybody, people would have stepped back and said, holy shit, that lab work and all that stuff that he did, that's the key. That works. Because he came out of nowhere and fucking smoked everybody. But he didn't. He got his ass handed to him. Badly. And even though he was cocky and they were doing all this stuff, in the end, the bros won. And here's the fucked up part. They say, well, you know, you don't have to look like a bodybuilder or ever have done bodybuilding because it's like a coach. You could just, know all your stuff. Hani Rambod, one of the best bodybuilding trainers in the world, does it the bro way, used to be a bodybuilder. George Farah, we all know him, does it the bro way, used to be a bodybuilder. Oscar Arden, the one who brought Kai Green to the promised land to win the Arnold. He used to be a bodybuilder. Chris Aceto, a bro, used to be a bodybuilder. He's the one that's brought in multiple champions. Chad Nichols, used to be a bro. He used to be a bodybuilder. So you're seeing the trend here. The top level are all bros. The top level all used to compete. top level know what they're doing because they actually live it and don't sit down and read it in a book. And that is a big part of what's going on here. And you guys can piss and moan, but they're the flat out the examples who are the best in the world at what we're doing, and that's bodybuilding. It's not reading books and taking tests. I myself, I'm not a smart man. I don't consider myself a smart man, period. So you can take all those insults that are going to come. I don't care. If you put me in a room with a book and I read that book and I take a test, I'm going to fail that test almost 9 out of 10 times. I do not test well and I do not retain information. But if you put me in the gym, I'm going to find out what works and what doesn't. Which is interesting because scientists have to do that to be able to prove something works. They can't just write a paper on it. They have to go in the gym and figure out what works. So essentially, the bro science and science are kind of one-on-one with each other and go together. And I'm not really sure where this whole holier than thou, like, bro science sucks, we're better than you shit came from. I got some emails within the last couple days after that video, and one of them is, she said, not sure if you'll get this message. I've been watching the videos for a few weeks. Giving him a lot of inspiration, motivation, and courage to continue the journey through the fields of iron. He said, there's a video regarding the studies not being accurate from a radiation therapist who treats breast cancer and treatments for patients. He agrees with me. He said, there's pretty dodgy papers out there, and we all read them critically. A classic example was a paper published in the Lancet that was removed because it was fraudulent. The topic purely coincides with the other video that regarding vaccines. Now, this individual, he's in radiation, and he's in the medical field, and he's sending me all these links, which I will post in the links section, about papers that had to be pulled back, like the information wasn't right. There's another one. Let me shut this message thing off. There's a biochemist. This guy is a biochemist out of MIT and Harvard. Okay, he wrote a best-selling book, Fit or Fat series. He was totally against weight training for fat loss, citing the fat Russian weightlifters as evidence. So Russian weightlifters were big, and they had a little bit of fat on them, and that was his evidence that weight training wasn't good to burn fat. Years later, he came back, and he said that actually the glycogen gets burnt during training, and the body burns a lot of fat while it's repairing. And this guy recanted all his research, and he recanted all his papers, but for a while there were papers published, and the take-home message was, weight training doesn't help fat loss. Okay? Do you know how many people probably read that, that one piece, and said, fuck, or even read the whole thing and was like, wow, he's right, all these weightlifters are fat, so therefore weightlifting does not cause fat loss. Obviously we know that to not be true. And that's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is all the stuff that everybody's saying now, and they say that, well, what I'm saying can't be true. How do you know? Maybe something was screwed up that will later on be found to be not right and changed, and what I'm saying is right, because what I'm doing is over and over again replicating results. So obviously I must know something. Whether or not I've written a paper or I can read a paper on it really doesn't matter, because I'm replicating the results. Okay? So that's just a couple of emails that I get. Like I said, I'm going to put this link in the section so you guys can read it. And just be aware, like, just because you read something doesn't mean it's true. Just because I say something doesn't mean it's true. Go out there and experiment yourselves, but be careful. Don't listen to someone because they said, I read a paper on it and this is the way it is. Okay? Doesn't make it true. biosretraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below. www.biosretraining.com is the blog, and where, if you smell, that's not my gimmick. We're out.